Hi everyone. Yeah, welcome back if you've just come back to my YouTube channel, BookTube channel, and welcome if you're a new subscriber or a new visitor or you've just found it. I thought today I would just use the iPhone to record my video because I think the quality is better. It's probably something rather obvious that I should have done the first time around rather than using the laptop, but I'm going to give this a go anyway. I have since remembered that I do actually have like a little Canon camera which has video recording on it as well, but again it's a few years old. I got that quite a while ago, so the quality in the iPhone is probably better, so we'll see how that goes in terms of video quality and everything. Today I thought I'd just do a brief quick little video about sort of to do with my TBR I suppose, and also some books that I've acquired recently. Since the last video, I have done quite a few author events, so I was really happy to take part. I had great fun taking part in the Spooky Festival through the Verbal Arts Centre just before Halloween. That was up in Derry, and that's Spooky with spelled Spooky, and it was a Halloween festival aimed at children, getting them, reading, writing, and there was all sorts of activities happening across Derry over the Halloween weekend through the Verbal Arts Centre and their Reading Rooms project. And as part of that, the week before, myself and Felicity McCall, and possibly some other people, but definitely myself and Felicity McCall, were going around some of the primary schools and the colleges and doing creative writing workshops with the pupils there. So I had great fun. I did 5 workshops, and with a mixture of sort of P5 to P7 ages, and I also did a workshop with a college as well, St Joseph's College. So I was at yeah, quite a few schools, and it was really interesting and really inspiring to hear all the spooky stories and poems that the kids came up with. We had about roughly 2 hours, or just 2.5 hours in each workshop, and I sort of split the time between writing short stories and writing poetry because I just thought that was a bit more fun, and also because some people like writing poetry and some people like writing stories. And the kids were great, all big readers I have to say as well, and it was great to hear the breadth of books that they read. And they were all really interested in hearing about Magical Masquerade as well, which was great. And if you don't know me and haven't listened to the first video, Magical Masquerade is my own children's book, but you can find out a bit more about that in the first video, or if you just look over on my Facebook author page. So before we get stuck into the books here, the other thing that I did just this week, I went down on Thursday past to Dublin because the Dublin Book Festival is happening at the minute. I say at the minute, it's happening as I'm filming this video, depending on how long it takes for me to get this video uploaded to YouTube. Like the last time it took over a week, so yeah, but at the minute it's currently happening in Dublin, and I'm delighted to actually be doing an event as part of the Dublin Book Festival this Friday. So my event isn't actually in Dublin because they do a few events up north in Northern Ireland every year as well. So my event is actually taking place on Friday at Portstewart Library, and a class has already been invited to attend, and we're going to have some fun kind of just chatting. We'll do a bit of a Q&A. I'll read from Magical Masquerade, and I'm going to get them to do some writing activities as well, maybe creating their own fantasy magical character or coming up with a bit of a story or something. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be really good fun. So as part of that, the Dublin Book Festival obviously sell books at the festival, so they have a large sort of bookshop area in Smock Alley Theatre where most of the events are happening. And I went down on Thursday to drop off some copies of Magical Masquerade. So yeah, that was really exciting. I'm hoping that some of my fellow writers from Women Aloud, again, if you don't know what Women Aloud is, I'm going to chat about that at a later stage, but I did mention it in my first video. But some of the writers down there at the moment are hopefully going to find my book in the bookshop and take a little picture, because it's kind of a novelty to have it on sale somewhere, because it's predominantly on sale on Amazon at the minute. However, I also called into the Winding Stair bookshop when I was in Dublin on Thursday. It's a lovely little bookshop which has a second-hand section at the back, but also sells new books, and it's an independent bookstore. It's really lovely. It's just it's near the Halfpenny Bridge. That's the right bridge, I get them confused, but it's not far from the Smock Alley Theatre, and I had been in last year when I went down to see my editor, and I'd asked them if they would maybe stock the book. So a year later I came back on Thursday with my book, and they very kindly took 2 copies, and again I was sort of snapping away, taking pictures of it on the bookshelf before I left, so I had to do that. And I'm kind of losing my voice a bit at the moment. I don't know if it's all the workshops I've been doing and the talking, the extra talking that I don't normally do, but yeah, apologies for that if my voice sounds a bit hoarse today. So I thought I would do, yeah, a little mini book haul today and just kind of chat about some of the books that I'm planning to read, some of the books that I picked up. I should say that at the Winding Stair bookshop on Thursday, I couldn't leave without actually buying some books because that's just impossible. So I picked up this, which is a book I've been looking for a long time. I just have never really, actually normally when I go to find it, they don't have it in stock. So it's Angela Carter's book, The Magic Toy Shop. And I've read her book of short stories, The Bloody Chamber. And I do have another collection of fairy tales that she edited and put together. And I've got Knights of the Circus, which I read and really liked. So she's very much my sort of writer. I think I did really like Knights of the Circus. I remember at the start I wasn't quite sure what to expect because I'd heard so much about Angela Carter, and definitely she's, you know, I like my fantastical tales, I like my strange tales, and yeah, she definitely fulfills all of that criteria. But at the start it took me a little bit to get into the Knights Circus, is it Knights at the Circus, because it wasn't quite what I expected, but I really did enjoy it. So I'm intrigued to see if this lives up to my expectations, because obviously lots of people love Angela Carter and she is a really good writer, and I really like the cover of this as well. So the other book that I picked up was from the second-hand section of the Winding Stair, and it is My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. And I haven't actually read any of Elizabeth Strout's books yet. I think she wrote the book about Olive Kittredge. And again, it's on my list. So whenever I saw this, I thought, yeah, I really want to pick that up and give it a go. And as well, just reading the blurb on the back, it's about a writer. It's about a young woman who is actually on an unsteady journey towards becoming a writer, and she's in New York. Her mother's come to visit her in hospital. She hasn't seen her mother for very many years, and this visit sort of forces Lucy, who the protagonist, to confront her past. And it just sounds really interesting. As a writer myself, I really like reading fiction and non-fiction books about writers because it's just really interesting, and you know, it's something that I'm really looking forward to reading. And actually on the train on the way home from Dublin on Thursday, I bumped into a fellow Northern Irish writer, Sheena Wilkinson, who writes lots of really good young adult fiction books, and I was showing her what I bought and she said, yes, this is a brilliant book and you'll really enjoy it. So again, that's another one that I'm really looking forward to reading soon. And of course I picked up the Dublin Book Festival programme, even though unfortunately I haven't been able to get to any of the actual events. Just work is really busy at the moment, and having to go down on Thursday to leave the books off, I haven't been able to get back down to actually see any of the events, which is quite disappointing, but hopefully another year. But yeah, it's just really that's Sheena is in the programme there. She's doing a historical fiction writing workshop. Oh yeah, and yes, I'm just right below her. This is my Port Stewart Library event. And also it's really nice at the back of the programme. You can see there is just some of the books that are featured in the festival, and Magical Masquerade is there, which I was so surprised to see, and it's so exciting to see my little self-published beautiful book. I really love the cover that Design by Writers did for it, but it's brilliant to see that in the programme, so that really made my day. That's why I wanted a physical copy. So really quickly, because this video I don't want it to get really long like the last one, what I am actually reading at the moment is this beautiful creation, The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jen Campbell, who is a booktuber that I've started following recently and absolutely love her videos because they're just really interesting. I adore this cover. It is really, really beautiful. It's a collection of short stories, and if you see the back as well, and as she says, whenever you're reading the stories, the design starts to make sense because you can pick out little bits of the illustrations which link into the different stories throughout the book, and it's really, really nice. The cover is just amazing. I love it. So it's published by Two Roads, and I love the red inside it. And of course I ordered this through Jen's website. I pre-ordered it, so it arrived on publication day, which was the 2nd of November, and she signed it there for me as well. So that's really, really nice. So I hope you enjoy these twisted tales. Well, so far I am. I'm about, yeah, about halfway through at the moment. The next story that I'm about to read is called Little Deaths. So I really like it. It's watching her videos, and knowing that how much she loves fairy tales and mythology and all that sort of thing, I kind of knew what to expect. And the blurb in the back, I'll read that out too, because I don't want to review it at the moment. I'm not sure I'm very good at reviews on camera at the moment, but I'm maybe going to do some reviews in the future. But I really am enjoying it at the moment, and I'll read you the blurb because I think that just will say a lot more at the moment than I can. It's okay. So stories of family and magic, lost souls and superstition, spirits and jam jars, mini apocalypses, animal hearts and sideshows. Mermaids are on display at the local aquarium. A girl runs a coffin hotel on a remote island, and a couple are rewriting the history of the world in the middle of the night. I think that says it all. So yeah, it looks beautiful. The writing is lovely inside. The stories are what I will say is the stories are so creative and imaginative, and you know, they really are different from anything that I've read to date, which says a lot because it's really hard to be, you know, even as writers, it's really hard, I think, to be really unique and original these days. So yeah, and the first story alone, Animals, is just, you know, it's just brilliant. It's such an interesting concept in the way that she's described it. So yeah, I recommend that so far, and as I say, I'm only halfway through it. So because I'm reading that, I've sort of put my other current read, Ghost, to the side at the moment, and I am really liking it. I mean, well, I am liking it. I'm not going to say I'm really liking it at the moment, because what put me off a little bit was, this isn't giving anything away, but the protagonist, the whole story is basically, it starts off where he thinks he's seen something, so has he seen a ghost? And the book is going to kind of explore that and go through, you know, alongside the relationships he has with the various people in his life. And I'm assuming, I don't know if we're going to actually find out if he did see a ghost or not at the end, but you know, the concept really hooked me. And you know, I'm liking it, but what put me off is that he works in a mortuary, and there was a fairly detailed chapter where they were describing the embalming process, and I'm not really one for gore and everything. I mean, I can stomach it better in books than I can on television or video, but it was quite detailed and I didn't really like that bit. And yeah, it kind of, being in the mortuary and everything, it's just quite, you get this heavy sort of feeling. I don't know, it's just all very much around death at the moment, which is fair enough, you know, because there's a ghost probably maybe somewhere lurking around here, but it's just, yeah, the graphicness of that at the moment, that kind of put me off. But I'm keeping with it. I'm reading it alongside Jen's book, so I'm going to get stuck back into that. I mean, I've only actually made it to page 53, so and it's just been really busy at the moment with work and everything, and I haven't been getting as much reading done as I would like to. As well, before I go today, I thought I'd just show you a couple of books which I have already read, but I mentioned them in my last video and I didn't actually show you the covers. So one of them was the Fairy Thorn and Other Stories by Jane Talbot, and this is the programme because it was actually Big Telly Theatre Company actually did a brilliant adaptation of it for the stage, and it toured around last year across the UK. So that's a really great collection of stories that Jane wrote, inspired by the sort of Irish myths, but definitely her own take on it. Her language is, and the way she writes them, is really quirky and really different and really fun, and they're really dark stories. So yeah, they're not her. She's got very dark fairy tale, not fairy tale, but very dark characters. It's, yeah, just read it, it's really good. Yeah, we're going to improve on our book descriptions, I think. The other book I mentioned was The Watch House by Bernie McGill. Bernie's also taking part in the Dublin Book Festival at the moment. Now this is a proof copy that I got, so that the actual cover doesn't look like this. So if you look it up, the actual cover, although I do like this cover with the map and everything, but the proper cover is different. It shows the island itself and the lighthouse, and yeah, but it's a really good book. It's set during the time of the Marconi experiments on Rathlin Island in Northern Ireland, which is the island just off Ballycastle for anybody that's not local, and it was all to do with Marconi doing his experiments of sound experiments across from the island to Ballycastle. Set in Northern Ireland, just down the road from me, is which makes it really, really even more interesting to read about, because obviously you're learning about the history of the island, something real which actually happened. And Bernie was really meticulous in her research, and in getting, you really learn about the Marconi experiments, the sort of equipment that was used to transmit the signals. And you also learn about the island itself, because Bernie spent a lot of time on Rathlin, and it's nice to kind of learn more about the geography of it. I've been a couple of times to the island, but I wouldn't say that I know it very well at all. So that's really nice. And then woven throughout it, of course, is the actual story, which is really it really draws you in, and then it really gives you a sucker punch. But halfway through, and all of these things really just start happening. It sort of lulls you into a false sense of security almost, and then yeah, it's really, really good. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap it up there because I think this video has got quite long again. Thanks for watching, and I will chat to you next time.